lovely. Kev's going, you're up, dummies. Go ahead at any point. Merely Bow, the Great Sea. It's 80. The sun is out.
I know. I feel like we really should have been.
This would have been one of those days.
Yeah, because by Thursday and then Friday is going to be.
Is it, yesterday you were singing
dreadful.
me the blues.
Oh yeah, look
on Friday.
Look at it.
Well, let's check with the AccuWeather, which so far is 3-0.
It's going to give you 90%, I think.
All right, here's what
and
I got.
all day, half an inch or more.
Here's what we got. Okay. All right. So looks like 91% chance Friday.
What did I tell you?
Oh, mama.
Yeah.
And then 60% tomorrow. God, you got to live the next 2 days, guys.
Wait a minute. Where the hell did that come from?
There was
I'm sorry, Thursday.
Thursday.
No, tomorrow's hot. 88 sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're safe. You're safe. It's Thursday.
And then even it lingers into Saturday, I think, and then Sunday's nice.
So I'm showing 3% chance on Saturday.
Okay.
71, 78, 3% chance on Sunday. That's kind of where you stand.
Good.
Like, but is this a rain all day?
Friday.
All right, so here's your Friday description.
Yes, it is.
Cloudy, a couple of showers, and a heavy thunderstorm. It's one of those. Thunderstorms can bring hail and damaging winds.
There we go.
Perfect. We can get 38,000 roofers to come to our neighborhood and ring our doorbell, which will be great.
There's this guy who comes through our development. He does it every year on a Segway, and he's slinging window washing on a Segway.
I like that.
I love the intuition. I love the ambition of it.
Guess what? He's not coming by on Friday.
No, not. But he's got this Segway.
Yeah.
He's quite persistent, I will say. How you doing?
Good. Voice getting a little bit better. Went to the doc because Miss K was like, you got to be 100% before this baby comes. So I went. So now I'm Z-packing it.
But what do you have? You don't have. I thought just allergies.
We have no idea. Nobody knows. It's been 3 weeks, dude.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So he said maybe there's something in there, and I've coughed up plenty of stuff that would indicate something's going on.
No, I don't like that.
Me neither.
I don't like that out of you.
It's like
you got sturdy stock. You have your protocols.
I mean, I feel like I am sturdy in that it's affected my life zero. Like I've done everything that I want to do. I go to the gym, golfing,
all that's fine.
All that, but yeah, that's enough already. I don't even know what feeling normal feels like anymore.
It's been so long.
So long. You know when you something's bothering you or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and then you forget what it was even like. Yes. I want to get to that point.
Yeah, that's like back pain. That'll happen sometimes when it's so debilitating, and then all of a sudden it goes away for treatments or whatever, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, what was that even like? And you're like, that sucked. I remember that.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that.
But I'm not thinking about it now.
No.
Because it's gone.
No, it's not. Hell of a job yesterday. 25th Annual Cleveland Browns Foundation Golf Outing from Westwood Country Club. Did you find Coach Stefanski? Were you able to finish the round?
Yeah, we got a few holes in together. It was a lot of fun. Great group of guys. And we did well. They ended up in third.
Okay.
So a couple of people made eagles off of my balls on number 3, which was good. I had Stefanski's group we know, and then I had 2 other groups come up and say something to me.
That made like the putts, huh?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's a good job out of them.
It's a good
also
job out
pretty
of them.
amazing that you were able to hold it.
Yeah.
To where they could put the putt close.
Well, I think one of them they said was real close. So one must have hit into that front hill and just trickled over. And if it did that, it could have gotten real close. And then Stefanski's was right on the top of the hill, and I think one was a little bit in the back.
And then you got a nice putt, and then away you go. Who ended up winning? Do we have the winners?
I don't remember the name of them, but somebody was 17 under, which is
17 under.
That's pretty serious. That is serious. Greg Newsom's group came in second at 15 under, so they slowed their pace quite a bit. They were 12 through 12. And then they ended up at 15.
That one stick was carrying
that's all
operations. And if Greg hits a couple of eagles, then away you go.
If anybody makes some putts. If you have one guy who's hitting the ball well, and the rest of the guys make a few, if they can putt.
Yeah.
Like I remember a few years ago with the great Dr. Mickley of Beechwood Dental.
Yeah.
Our combined handicap was probably very high, but I was hitting the ball really well that day. And I maybe only had to putt twice all day.
Because they were rolling.
Oh, yeah.
That's clutch.
Mickley was the boss of the moss.
Good job out of him.
Yeah. Get you pearly whites, and he can get you going on the greens.
Get you all locked in, whoever you need. It was great. So it was great to be out there. And when we had
great.
The VP of Doing Good Things, Renee Harvey, on.
Impactful good things.
Impactful good things that are impactful and leaderships and such. I've said this, sir. It's like there's like this and the food bank. I think this is when Tony Brown, is that who came up to you? You were so excited you could hardly contain yourself. But this is when we said like this and then the food bank, which we do on the Thanksgiving. Those are the two things that like the whole company's at.
Yeah.
Like all year. Those are the two things that everybody's at.
Yeah. Well, when Tony Brown comes over and his hair is flowing in the wind, he had like a golden turtle on this beautiful necklace he had. He was not wearing shoes. Smile from ear to ear. I mean, what are you going to do? I did see Renee later, and I was like, sorry, I ended up standing up in the middle of a very meaningful, impactful question and answer.
No, I think it was all a win. I mean, that's the thing about the outing show.
You never know.
You never know what you're going to get.
Never know. It's like a box of chocolates.
You never know. All of a sudden, you got Dylan Gabriel walking up. All of a sudden, Kenny Pickett's walking up. Newsom's walking up. Nobody gets hurt.
No,
so there
Pickett's
you go.
team, I was surprised. I thought they were going to be more in the mix because I saw them make quite a few birdies as I even was driving around. But no, they were not. I think they may have been like Stefanski's team won on a scorecard playoff to be third, so I think they may have been in the mix.
I feel like they had to be. I mean, that was a pretty good
Don
group.
was very impressive.
Yeah, they had a bunch of people who could go, and then that's the key. You know that I'm not good enough to ever be asked to do these type of things, but I used to have to play several of them in Columbus. I'd have to play a couple of them a year. And the one year I remember we were at OSU Scarlet, and we had Holly Saunders, who was an intern of mine, and she played golf at Michigan State.
Yeah, it's unfair.
It was a cheat code.
Of course.
It was an absolute cheat code because she's playing up.
Yeah.
And she's hitting at 275, and it's like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Like when that's your the advantage was just that goes back to your conversation last week about the tee box advantage.
Of course.
Like, and I always think it should be handicap advantage is it should be handicapped up would be the way to do it because there's that guy right there, the great AB. But like the advantage she had, and there was another guy in her group who was scratch, and we played her ball pretty much all day. Because of how good she was and where she got to hit from.
So there was a play. I was talking with somebody the other day, and one of the clubs does this, and I think this is the perfect way to do it. If your age plus handicap is above 80, then you can play from the white tees.
Is that all the way up?
No.
If
If your age plus handicap, so a 60-year-old who's a 21 handicap can play the white tees. And the up more than that in an event is a blue tee event, you have to be 95 or above if you want to go even further up than that.
95. So 80 or above is white.
Yep.
And then 95 and up. What's the max handicap? Is it 30?
Probably.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't mind that.
Yeah. If you're 60 and a 21, okay. I mean, I still think you probably shouldn't be in this tournament.
Yeah.
But, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be 85.
I think 80's fine. I'm thinking about this. Like
but that eliminates somebody who's like 63
they're down to 21.
and a 5 handicap.
Well, that's your problem. I actually think 80 might be the wrong. I don't know that 80's the right number.
I don't know if it's high enough. It might be too
I was
low.
going to go the other way. I think it might be too low because there is no scenario where a 60-year-old that's a 21 who can be within how many shots of you? 20?
Not from the blues, but maybe from the whites.
From the whites, it's probably a relatively. I still don't even think from the whites. Honestly, I don't think that's that much of an advantage.
So either.
I think you beat anybody playing from the whites who's a 21. I think you would beat them by 15 shots, easy in your sleep.
1-on-1 is so different, though. I agree with you. In 1-on-1, I would have
20
no
shots
qualms.
even. I don't even think it would be
2-on-2 is
close.
different. 2-on-2 is different.
Yeah.
1-on-1, no qualms.
How do you guys do it on the 2-on-2? You don't play best ball, do you?
Yeah,
Play your
best
own ball?
You play your own. So what you're referring to is a scramble.
Best ball. Scramble.
Best ball means that
You play your own.
it's basically 4-ball. Yeah, you play your own. Your partner plays your own. You get your best net score from you and your partner on each.
You
hole.
only record one score each hole.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I like playing sometimes when you get where you have like big disparities. You play high and low on each hole, so it's best. It's your low against their low, your high against their high. So there's really kind of 2 holes that can be won on every hole.
Yeah.
And that's a fun way to do it. You see, Scottie Scheffler said they made him play as a plus 7 at his course.
Okay.
And he'll play dudes who are 13s who are getting 20 shots. And he says he still always wins.
Of course. Of course he does.
Dude.
He's probably thrown down at his course, at his home course, in like member conditions. I would imagine he's consistently at 62,
Sure.
63, 61, probably 58, 59 from time to time, I'm sure.
It's got to be disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, it's an annihilation. I
Like in my
can't
mind,
even
getting-
imagine him not getting a 3 on every par 5, a 3 on
Not gonna get
every
3
par
on every par 5.
I bet he's in the mix. I bet he's putting for 3 on, for sure he's putting for 3 on every par 5 on his home course.
Yes.
Every single one of them.
I would love to play
And
him.
I would say that he probably expects to birdie everything else.
Yeah. I would love to play him at Walden.
Your course. And he'd never been.
Getting 12. I don't think I would win.
Yeah.
But I would like to think I'd be competitive.
There was a story once out at Bighorn in the desert that Matt Kuchar, who lives out in the desert, and that
Who I interviewed.
Yes, you did last week.
Yeah,
You
we
there.
talk about that.
That he showed up and played as like a guest of the owner and played, and like randomly went out on the mountainside where it's a lot of target on the mountain. It's a lot of elevation change. It's a little bit like Wolf Creek, like not quite that extreme,
By the way,
but
plus-
like it's all over the place. And he went out, had never played it, shot 61. Like had no idea where it just went and shot 61, and like. For a mortal person, like that's how great those guys are.
Oh my God, same close.
So yeah, I believe that him as a
and
plus
if he's
7. I
playing
see it.
even from the farthest, what are the tips at Walden?
Close to 7,000.
Yeah, so he's annihilating.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
How many
annihilating.
tell you
holes
this,
does
you would
he
not
actually
be
play
pleased
hitting
with,
driver?
right?
The greens would be.
He would probably there'd be some frustration with that type of stuff in terms of how it goes.
Yeah. These are not just like, if you hit it right on line, it's going to go in.
You know, it's funny. I won't get into all of it because it's not my story to tell, but the biggest complaint typically of tour pros when they at the home course is it's almost always the greens.
Of course.
That's the first thing they go to is you've got to get these right. You got to get these right. These are not right. You got to get them right. And that's the thing.
When
that
you
annoys
go
them.
and
It's
you
not
play
all
it-
the rest of the stuff.
No, it's all
that.
the greens. When you
It's
go and
get
play a
the greens
place
right.
where if you put it online, it goes in, it's a very different experience. And those
Yeah.
guys put it online. Scheffler's last 40 months. Did you
Okay.
see this?
No.
19 wins in his last 40 months.
Okay.
That's more than Jordan Spieth has in his entire career. In the last 40 months, he's got 36 top 3 finishes. That's more than Jason Day's entire career. He's got 52 top 10s. That's more than Max Homa's entire career, who Max Homa didn't even qualify for the U.S. Open. You see that he 3-putted the last hole,
did
had to
see
go
that.
into a playoff, carried his own bag because he fired his caddy.
Yeah.
Did not make it.
No, it was down in Columbus. I want to say it was at Kinsale.
Huh?
Yeah, it used to be my club down there.
3 major victories in the last 40 months. That's more than Dustin Johnson's career. In the last 40 months, he's made $121 million playing golf. That is more than Phil Mickelson's career.
On the last one, he should every day when he wakes up, he should send a text to Tiger Woods and say thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Because Scottie Scheffler made $4 million
To win the
win the Memorial Tournament.
Yes.
If you just
That's the one that's not apples to apples, the money.
No, it's not in any way. He made more money at the PGA Championship and the Memorial than Tiger Woods made in all but I want to say 2 or 3 years of his career. Tiger.
I think it's wild.
Apex PGA Tour, Tiger, all of that. He's made more in 2 tournaments, and it's a Tiger. And then the other part of it's Live, because what Live did is it forced the PGA Tour stops to up their paychecks to get them to play and then and to get on a more level playing field. So Live and Tiger, the 121 is the crazy one. All of that's crazy, but some of this, and I said this to you yesterday on the course, like some of it is too the Live split. And the other part is the money is so big now, like, is there the same incentive to grind that there was? And I think the answer to that is it doesn't appear that there is.
So I talked with Matt Kuchar, who was
Yeah.
2010 Money List winner, Varden Trophy winner, was the best player in college when he was in college. He's won 9 times on tours, never won a major, won the Memorial in 2013. And he's still out there grinding. He's my age.
Well, yeah, I bet he is. It's a pretty good life.
It's a great life.
It's a
but
great
I mean,
life. Like,
the thing
but
that
I
he
mean,
said-
like, is there the same? I have to win in order to make a lot of money.
No,
there isn't.
that's different.
That's
No,
gone.
but you gotta
don't
make
have
cuts.
To. But it's easier now. The Memorial used to be a 125 person field. It's 70. They only cut 20 golfers.
I know.
I mean, that's
See, the person that's grinding is like the Jacob Bridgman kid that I got to talk to as well. And he was in 10th, and then he just did not finish the last day.
Yeah.
And that for him, though, that's costing him money.
yeah, for sure.
Matt Kuchar career earnings per spot track, $61.2 million.
Yeah.
He's grinding all right.
That's half of what our guys made in 40 months.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I just have a hard time putting it into perspective in terms of the game is so different because of live.
Here's a good way to look at it. Will you look up in 2010, Cooch won more money than anybody on tour?
Yeah.
How much money did he win in 2010? He was the money leader in 2010. I bet it's less than Scottie made for the significantly less.
In 2010, Matt Kuchar on the PGA Tour led all players in earnings with $4.9 million.
Yeah, he just won $4 million at the Memorial.
Yeah. Well, I did this earlier that I think if his two, because he won 3 point whatever for PGA.
3.4 and then 4.
3.4 and 4, so 7.4.
More than
I think there were only 3 or 4 years in Tiger's career where he made more than that. And in many of those years, obviously, there were multiple majors, and he won Firestone all the time. He won Jack's tournament all the time, Arnie's. Those were always big money. The Firestone one was a huge money event, and he won that.
And then you have the dudes on liver making $100 million a year guaranteed.
No, I think that's total.
Some of them made like 5 years, $400 million or
correct.
5.
Yeah,
like
Rahm and those guys did.
Yeah.
But now they're saying like that's not going to
happen anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't know. It's a shame, that part of it.
I read that DeChambeau's thinking of doing his hole-in-one challenge over the White House, which would be incredible if he does that.
He was really smart.
He's great at
He deserves a great amount of credit for being, while he was on the tour, one of the most unpopular players, going to live, taking the money. I get it, absolutely. Playing in a closet professionally, but then having the foresight to understand content, online, challenges, all of that stuff, to the point now where, like, at a major, he's probably the most popular. He's right there.
I was talking
It's
with
him and a handful of other guys that are most popular. He's on a very short list.
when we were at Double Eagle. I was talking with a luminary from our great partner, Huntington Bank, and his son has the golf bug completely, and it's from watching DeChambeau videos that made him want to play golf.
My kid, he's a big part of it. He's a big part of it.
It's very cool.
That side of it, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, the sport's in a very interesting spot. I'll tell you the other thing that is, and we bring up Firestone. I guess it's how you get into this type of conversation. But we were talking about Firestone. It's like, I know they have a senior PGA stop that's coming up here. Yeah, the Colleague Championship that's coming up in a couple of weeks, I think. They do a very good job with that. But there's really nothing at all on the table for this state to ever host a major again. And the closest that we're going to get in our lifetime, I'm afraid, is going to be Oakmont in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's it. Or Valhalla in Louisville. Like, we're never going to see another one in this state. I just believe it. There's no chance. There's no roadmap to get there.
Muirfield's the place that should have, but I mean,
but Jack doesn't want to give it up, and he doesn't want to give it up. And I think they would do it if he asked. Like, if he said this year the Memorial Tournament is also the PGA Championship, like, would the PGA Tour do that? I don't know, but I mean, like, that's the type of thing it would take, and that's the course for it. That's the stadium setup. That's the parking. They have everything that you need there to be able to do it. And the place is the ultimate test. The idea that a tour stop wins at 10 under is pretty crazy. I mean, that's like a PGA Championship type of score to win it at 10 under.
It could be. I mean,
if they ever did a U.S. Open there, it would be just borderline diabolical. I think it would.
Which is silly, but I think he, let me go back to it. So he was 10, but again, he was so much better than everybody else. He was 10, Griffin was 6, Straka was 5, Taylor was 4, Henley was 2, McNeely was 2. So there were 6 golfers 2 under or better, and then there were 5 golfers that were 1 under.
Yeah. That's a major field.
There were 15 golfers in the entire field that were par or better.
Yeah.
15.
No, I know. So he did the last changes to the course he's ever going to make in the last couple of years. Those are done. Like, he's done tinkering with it. I'll believe that when I see it. By the way,
Especially if someone comes in and blows up the
Nobody's
record
going to blow
books.
it up.
no, I don't think. I think it's
too hard.
I mean, you've played it. I think
too
it's as hard as anything. I've played Oakmont. I suck, but like they're on the same plane.
Well, and they took all the trees out of Oakmont. Now it's just Mont.
Yeah, that's crazy. Isn't that
Looks
crazy
ridiculous.
when you
I
see
hate
the
it.
visuals of it? Have you seen it?
I hate it.
Like in the lead up to the U.S. Open, that it's just no.
So
there's
supposedly
no
it's going
trees
to be
anywhere?
so hard.
Yeah, I'm sure
They
it'll
said
just
that-
be rough and
Rory just went out there. Rory and somebody else went out there and played, and they were both like way over, and they hit the ball great. But to me,
So
when
how
make
if
the
you're
rough
a member
that
there,
bad,
what do
it's
you do?
not-
Who's it
it's not
for?
fun.
How do they make it so the members can play there?
Well, they'll as soon as it's over, they'll cut the rough. I mean, you can't play there right before. It's just impossible.
It's just impossible. Yeah. Yeah. When
It's
they get those
impossible.
things cooked for that level, like what they do, and I've only played Muirfield 2 weeks or a week before the tournament once, and it was in the fall, and it was an entirely different experience.
What I would love to do is play it, and I know people are able to do it because some of the people we were down there with were doing it. To play it on the Monday after.
Yeah.
They leave the Sunday pins in, and they let you can play from if you want to, you can play where they played.
Yeah.
I would love to do that and see if I could break 90. That's how good they are.
Yeah.
That's the difference. Like, that's what people, again,
It's hard to, yeah.
you can't get your head around it. Like, I have as much of a chance of beating Scottie Scheffler as a 20 handicap does of beating me.
Yeah, no
In fact,
chance.
the 20 handicap probably has a better chance of beating me than I do of beating Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah, it's a different world.
Even though we're, quote unquote, 10 shots apart. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
That's the thing. Like, +7 means at Walden, he would, from the tips, he should supposed to, I think it's like 74.9, something like that. That means that he should shoot mid to high 60s, and I'm with you. I think he would annihilate that.
I think you would. Yeah, I think they would. Anytime you hear of the guys doing that, they annihilate. Yeah, they do.
He's not going to be in the 50s consistently because a lot of course records are like low 60s. And that's the
Fowler has
record.
ours, and I want to say he's either 61 or 60 at
Where?
Hudson.
At Hudson.
Yeah, he has the course record there. So
It's just ridiculous.
yeah, it is. Did you play any golf in Italy?
I did not.
How'd you do?
Yeah, dude, tell
Pictures
us
are
the trip.
gorgeous. Pictures were gorgeous. How long had this been on the docket? Did it live up to what you had hoped it would be? What was your favorite thing? If you could do anything different, what would you do different? It's a lot I threw at you, Gibby.
Yeah, a little bit.
How long had it been in the oven? Talking about
It
it.
started with a bottle of wine in a wine shop in Florida,
Let's go.
like 9 years ago.
About a decade in the making.
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally, it was one of those where, like, this wine is amazing. Like, it was a favorite wine shop of ours in Punta Gorda.
Okay.
Was down visiting the in-laws, like, overcast day, can't go to the pool, whatever the case. Well, let's go drink a bunch of wine all day.
It's a win.
Perfect.
It's a big win.
Great. And, like, they were explaining the region and where this was. And we were like, I've always wanted to go to Italy. My wife more so wants to go to Greece,
Okay.
but she was on board with the Italy experience, especially after the wine. So we started putting it all together. Obviously, some things happened with our families and COVID and stuff. And finally, in the past year, it was just one of those things where it was like a lot has gone on personally and everything
Let's live.
else.
Let's
Like,
live.
we need to get this. We need to do this. So we did all the planning ourselves. There was no travel agent. There was no
Nice.
we've never believed in that. I know, like, people everybody vacations differently.
Yeah.
You have people that just they want to go see all the sights and they want to go see all. We saw what we wanted to see, but a lot of it was like we're walking around alleys in Rome on Friday night, the first night there, and having wine with the owners of bars and restaurants. And
It's awesome.
just hanging out. We knew that we wanted to. We wanted to see a lot more. There was clearly. You could go to Italy and you could be there for 2 or 3 weeks and still probably not see everything.
Yeah, right.
I wanted to get to Venice. We couldn't get to Venice. Like going all the way over to that side or going south into Sicily, like that's going to have to wait maybe another time, maybe who knows.
Yeah.
So we just kind of looked at the one area. We were like, all right, we're going to fly into Rome. And then going to spend a few days in Rome. Going to kind of rapid fire through things. We knew what we wanted to do. High-speed train up to Florence.
How great are the trains?
The whole train system's amazing.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Like my daughter lived on that when she was over there.
Yeah.
You get
Every
like
time
the
she's
Eurail
like,
pass or whatever. I don't know if that's called that anymore. That's
What
how
makes
long
them
ago I
so
was there.
great?
They're just great, dude.
So
They're
I
right on
went-
time. The schedule's perfect, and they're awesome to be in. And it's beautiful.
So
Yeah.
I can tell you this: every train station in Europe, you walk in, there's nowhere to sit. There's restaurant. There's like
Yeah, there's
food
a
places.
cafe,
There's you can buy clothes and all this other stuff, but there's nowhere to sit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that is they don't want vagrants sleeping in there or anything.
Yeah, keep it
The
moving.
stations are clean, but you come in, you can't just walk to your platform. So you're watching the board, and the board updates basically you get your platform assignment 20 minutes out.
All right.
At 15 minutes out, if you try to swipe your passport or your ticket, usually it's your passport and then you show your ticket on the train. They will not let you in because it's not time. Like it is specifically set up so like you go to your platform, you show up at the train station 20 minutes before your train. At 15, you go to your platform, you get on the train, and you go. There's no way
Pretty efficient.
and that's at every train station in Italy. And
They'd have a big problem. That would really, all these folks who get in line at airport gates 40 minutes before the flight is beginning
it's
to board.
funny. You know
That
who the
shuts that
Americans
down.
are in the
Yeah, 'cause
Italian
you're-
train stations.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We're standing waiting to.
1,000,000%.
Please don't take our spots.
Yeah.
Isn't that
But-
funny? We've been programmed to that.
Yeah.
Like we're so terrified that there's not going to be enough overhead or our seats are somehow not there that we have to race to get on a plane.
I was that person when I first started dating my wife. We are now at the point, my wife and I, where we are literally usually the last two people on the plane. They're looking at us like, "Are you going to get on?" And we're like, "Well, is everybody else on?" Like,
Then we'll get
I don't want to sit in my seat for an hour and wait for people to get on the plane.
If you don't have a sizable carry-on that you need to get up, I will always be the last person on the plane. What do I sit on the plane for?
Yeah, you don't.
So you get on the train. The best things about the trains, like high-speed train, at one point, it tells you you're doing 160 miles an hour.
160?
160.
Oh, mama.
And I can get from Rome to Florence in 90 minutes.
Oh, jeez.
Driving it, 3.5 hours.
Yep.
Jeez.
And it's so smooth, too.
Yeah.
You're just whipping.
Yeah.
That's
it's
awesome.
smooth, some snacks, cocktail if you like.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. It's
like
easy to
that.
get around. You get up into Florence, went and saw the statue of David,
Let's go.
did a little cooking class.
There you go.
What'd you cook, Gibby?
We did ravioli and we
baby.
did pasta. I can't remember the name of the pasta off the top of my head. Pappardelle.
A little pappardelle.
But
Sure.
literally,
Sure,
like
sure.
you walk
This is
into
wide
this
ribbon.
restaurant in a side street in Florence, Italy,
Yeah.
and there's a table set up in the back, and there's 12 of you, and literally it's like, here's a thing of eggs. Here, like you're
doing
literally
it.
making everything.
Yeah.
And the guy's like yelling at you and like, yes, chef, like trying not to screw it all up. And he's got assistants, but you're having fun. Like
Yeah.
the wine starts flowing and super cool. So we Florence was a quick trip. I wanted to see the Statue of David. I wanted to see a couple things there. But like we walked around the city. We may or may not have snuck into one of the best, most artistic churches I've ever seen in the world.
That's pretty cool.
Walked around the city at night, just explored. And then Monday, rented a car in Florence. I will tell you this, don't rent a car in a big city, period.
The roads are so narrow, right? In certain spots. And
I had moments where I thought I was going to be a TikTok sensation and get the car like stuck.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah.
Because they're that narrow. Like you can reach out and touch the wall.
Oh,
Like
Yeah, the roads are.
oh,
'cause
like
the roads
in
are,
in the city. You
Yeah,
mean
the roads
in
were-
the actual town?
Yeah.
The roads were built
I
for
see.
walking or people
Walking
with
and horses and that type of stuff.
Yeah,
they were
they're
not built for vehicles
cars.
No.
in any way. And God forbid you go down a street and someone's coming at you, and then you have to back up down the street.
Right.
So, and then we drove to the region Monte Puccigliano,
Yep.
where it literally is a town of 600 people. It sits on the top of a mountain 2,000 feet above. It's a walled fortress, 600 people. My wife found an Airbnb inside it.
Is that in like a Bruzo?
Fantastic.
It's close to a Bruzo, probably
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Okay.
And literally, that was the only moment where I was driving and I'm like, this is such an awful idea. Like, I'm going straight up the hill. I'm like zipping around these like streets. People are looking at me like, I don't think the car is supposed to be in this zone, because there are certain zones.
Do you have like a Fiat or something? What did you have that was small enough to get you
Well,
around?
number one, I'm not fitting in a small car. The Fiat's not going to work for me. I wish I had a small car.
That's
I
what
would
you need,
felt
right,
that-
is that-
Oh, they have those Euro ones that are like,
Those little tiny guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little bit bigger one, and there were moments, but I mean, we Airbnb'd everything. We were there at Monte Puccigliano. We went to a bunch of wineries. Like, you go to the big corporate ones, fine, it's fine. But like the most fun we had, we ended up at a winery that was owned by a husband and wife and their son, who's like 25,
Jeez.
and sat on the hillside, high up, overlooking everything, watching a thunderstorm come in, drinking wine, and like they were like, "Well, you're stuck here because it's storming. You can't drive anywhere, so let's just keep drinking, and we're going to feed you a bunch of stuff."
like amen.
Unbelievable. Everybody's nice until they get behind a wheel in Italy, and then they are lunatics.
Yeah.
And then from there, if there's one thing I probably could have tweaked, they tell you, like, hey, let the trip breathe a little bit. So we probably could have spent another day in Rome. We could have spent another day. We could have cut back one of the stops,
Yep.
but we were just like, look, we want to see all this stuff.
Yeah, you're there.
My wife wanted to see the coast, so we drove an hour and a half to the coast. We went to Marina del Pisa, about 20 minutes away from the Leaning Tower and everything. Yeah. We were on the Mediterranean coast.
It's beautiful.
Stayed at a resort for 2 days. Like, just had a down day.
Yeah.
And it's not, tourist season actually starts this week, so there was hardly anybody there.
Oh, that's nice.
Great.
So we had 5 people like, what can we get you? What do you need? I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And
What'd you
then
think of the
went to
Colosseum
Pisa, and then
Spaniard?
took the train back into Rome and flew out.
That's awesome. What a trip.
What'd you think of the Colosseum?
Colosseum was amazing. If there's one thing you should go inside and see, it's the Colosseum.
Was it weird to you how like it is big, but it's also not big?
Correct. It's the same thing with the Leaning Tower of Pisa. My wife looked at it and she was like, is the water tower in North Olmsted just as big?
Yeah, but it's not leaning.
Might be, but it's not leaning.
It's not leaning, and it doesn't have the
leaned for
artwork
1,000 years,
necessarily that, and the craftsmanship.
That's funny.
And you said how many days were you in Florence? Just one?
We got in Sunday morning at like 11, and we left like Monday or Monday afternoon. So we weren't there very long.
Next time, Florence, Cinque Terre, at the Amalfi Coast.
Well, the Amalfi Coast is south of Rome.
So south, yeah.
So that was
Yeah, like
We
how many
wanted
how many
to, and
trips
it
to
was
Italy could you do?
A lot.
You could do
lot.
several. You could do.
So you guys should watch Gabe now that you're back on Disney Plus. Tucci's got another new Italy show, and it's really good.
yeah.
He's
I-
great.
He
just
is
was in a
great,
bruise.
yeah.
He's great, and he's perfect for the shows.
Yeah,
Like
his whole thing. The other thing that you should watch now is Rome on HBO.
Oh,
a fine show.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know if you've seen Rome with Titus Pulo and all that.
yeah. My father was an archaeologist.
Oh gosh, so this was right. Yeah,
Like
That's
all
great.
week long. He's like, "Where are my photos?
I bet
Where
he's
where
locked in.
like you're
I
going
forgot
to
your
a
dad
place
was
that I
Indiana
haven't
Jones.
been."
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
That's very
so
cool.
he's I can't. He's ecstatic. He can't wait for me to come over and like go through all 300 of my photos
Yes.
I think that I took. But like I would tell you this: number one, do not wait till you're retired. Quote
Yeah.
to go, because I mean we walked 15 to 20,000 steps a day.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Like, and you're walking straight up, straight down hills. Like everybody wants to go when they, go on vacations when you're tired. Go when you can physically do it.
Yeah, you got to go while you can.
Did you go to the Trevi Fountain, Gibbe?
So this was another. We went to the Trevi Fountain. It's packed.
Yep.
I had done a little
Lot of
homework
coin in
and
there.
research. I found a hotel right across the street that overlooks the Trevi Fountain for €25 a person. You go up to a private bar that overlooks the Trevi Fountain.
Oh,
Your
there you
first
go.
drink is free, and you can sip wine and hang
there
out
you
at the
go.
Trevi Fountain without dealing with the crowds.
All right. Well,
But I would tell you this: what the most expensive thing is getting over there. But if you have points on your credit card,
yeah, you could be good.
which we did, it was great. The cost of everything is insanely low.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And the food is so good.
yeah.
What is the best spoon or fork
Love it. Great
that
question.
went into your mouth?
Great question.
It was not the one night.
Best bite.
It was not the one night that I thought I was taking my wife to a fantastic seafood joint.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think seafood, you think like a very nice seafood restaurant.
Sure.
It's a very nice seafood restaurant until they brought me the entire fish to deconstruct.
Oh, sure.
And I was
That's
like,
what they do.
That's what you
Yeah.
do there. You get the
I,
whole thing.
Like an assault
Not-
crust? Was it a
Yeah.
salt crust?
little Brazino.
it was a branzino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little Benzino, sure.
And I was like, or a sea bass, where a lot of it's still, there's bones
was
in it
still
and
there.
everything. And I'm like, I don't
That's
think
how they
this
do
is-
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
their style. Yeah.
I had a few pieces of pizza later that night. I had to knock that one off. We went to a restaurant in Montepulciano,
Yep.
and it was late on our first night getting there, and they were like, "Oh, you're Americans, blah blah blah. Like we love Americans, but we don't see too many of you because everybody goes to like Siena and they go to the other big places." The chef wants to make you an offer, and the chef was like, for X euros, which again was ridiculously cheap. He's like, I will take all the ingredients that are left over from the day that have not been used. I will create a 4-course meal with the ingredients left over.
That's fun.
You just have to eat it. That's the
Fine.
only thing. I'm going to make it. You don't get to pick what I bring you?
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a risotto with like a buffalo mozzarella on top.
Mm-hmm.
And a few other things, and it just it was like I don't even know, sat on the mushroom risotto and just melted in.
Oh, baby.
Jeez. Come on.
Come on.
baby.
And
Come
it
on.
was-
Hey.
That was exceptional. And then we found an Italian joint in Rome the night before we left, and it was
Found an Italian
That was-
joint
it was
in
an
that was-
Rome.
Italian joint.
Yeah, I
Well,
bet it was.
but
an
I had, to
Italian
make up,
joint.
I had to make up for the fish joint the night before. And it was owned by a husband and wife, and it was like a little cafe, but they hand make all their pasta,
Yeah, just
and
delicious.
it was stupid.
The food
So
over there is
That's
so
awesome.
Go to Europe. It's not everybody's like, well, pickpockets. Just be smart. Like, don't act like a tourist. Don't act like an idiot.
good. Yeah.
If we're surviving on the east and west side of Cleveland, we can handle anything in Italy.
I'd like to think that
Anything that
I
comes
was in
our
pretty
way.
good shape going into
I
that.
think we'll be more than fine. That's awesome.
But I totally would recommend it, and
Yeah, it's great.
do your thing.
That's awesome. Those are your hot topics of the day, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Coach Stefanski at the podium coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Time to head to the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. This was yesterday at the Cleveland Browns Foundation golf outing. Your head coach, Kevin Stefanski.
Okay, excited to be
You guys are down 10.5.
event for our Browns Foundation and everything that Dee and Jimmy are doing in the community. So this is an awesome day. Obviously, as you guys see, great weather. So we're excited to be out here. Got a bunch of players out here. All our coaches are out here. So as you know, raising money for a good cause. So special day, and then we'll get back to work tomorrow. But with that, I'll take any questions.
Kevin, will we see anything different at OTAs Wednesday in terms of quarterback rotation?
Honestly, Tony, every day is different. Every day we're mixing and matching, if you will, giving guys different looks. I've told you before, it's not going to be a 25% down the middle type thing, or I guess down in fourths, but we're trying to expose the guys to different things.
What have you learned about these guys, Kevin, that you've had them here outside for a while?
Yeah, we've learned a lot, Jeff. I think the big thing is, and we've talked about this is an all-encompassing evaluation. So we were evaluating the guys during phase 1, during phase 2, and now finally phase 3, you get to go against your defense in some settings where our quarterbacks and our offense get to go against them in 7-on-7 and some team drills. So all of that adds up to reps for us to look at, and it's not just looking at the result of a play. We're looking really at everything with these guys.
Kevin, for the quarterbacks and the offense as a whole, what should look better and be better this week and next as opposed to last week? Just getting started.
Yeah, I would say this. I think, as you guys know, there's only so much you can do based on the rules, the constraints that you have, whether it's 7-on-7 and teams. So we try not to look too much into the result, just black and white, if that makes sense, because there's things that our defense isn't doing and things that our offense isn't doing to gain advantages, if that makes sense. So really it becomes, are you doing what you're asking to do? Are you using the proper technique? Are your decisions sound? And then the accuracy of which you throw it. So I'd say all of that adds up to really good work for our guys, and this is definitely part of learning how to get ready to play a game too, because as much as we're just working drills, ultimately you're also getting ready for September as well.
Kevin, how different have you noticed just Shedeur and Dylan specifically in just a month's time?
Yeah, those guys are doing great. They are both wired to get in early, stay late, put in whatever work is required. They're sponges in the meeting room, which I think is really fun for me. In my vantage point, I get to sit there and watch the two young guys look over, and there's Joe, 40 years old, won Super Bowl. There's Kenny Pickett, just going into year 4, but first-round draft pick that's been on a couple teams, won a Super Bowl last year. There's Deshaun, had a ton of success in his career. They can kind of feed off of all those guys. So that's the thing I'm really it's fun for me to watch them get better sometimes just by listening.
Kevin, how important is it for some of these young players that have come in here, even guys that are maybe in their second or third year, to really pay attention to how the older players approach this time of year, and as opposed to maybe expecting the older players to give the big speeches and things like that, just to have these young players, I guess, follow the example set by the older.
Yeah, I think that's certainly something, Darryl, that I talk about with our young players. You know, we often talk about leadership. There's also followership and the ability to find that guy that I want to follow. And sometimes it can just be from observation. As you know, there's some great leaders that don't say much, and that's okay. I think if you find the right guy in your meeting room and see how he handles himself in the meeting room, see when he gets out on the field, what does he do when he's out on the field, how does he prepare? I think all of that certainly you can get in this time of year, but also that then goes to the season, and as you get in your routine, really attaching yourself to a vet. Those guys that end up playing 10 years in this league, that's simply not by accident.
Kevin, how relieved were you when Joel decided to come back?
Yeah, very relieved. Obviously, I was hopeful that Joel would be back. He's been here with me every step of the way. He's been a huge part of what we do on the football field. He's a huge part of who we are off the field. I think, you know, it was no small thing when we put that golf simulator in Berea. I think that certainly maybe tipped the scales in our favor. But he's a pro's pro. I think he's a future Hall of Famer, so I'm thrilled he's back.
Kevin, Andrew said he met with the evaluator Pickett during that draft.
Mm-hmm.
Pickett just said that you also met with him in that pre-draft process. What is it about him, his quarterbacking, that suits what you're going to do on offense?
Yeah, well, I'd say we meet with everybody, so I bet you Kenny met with all 32 teams. But I like how Kenny's wired. He's a really tough kid. When we traded for him, Coach Narduzzi called me right away and was thrilled because he just believes in who the young man is and how he goes about his business. He's a gym rat. He's another guy that works extremely hard at his craft. But we're excited about his skill set. I'm excited about the things that he's been exposed to in his young career already. And then, he's just got to, like he's doing right now, he's focusing on putting one good day in front on top of another.
Kevin, has Shedeur taken some 11 on 11 reps when we're not out there, and do you think that we will see some of those on Wednesday when we do come out again?
Yes, and I would say there's a lot of work that gets done when you guys aren't out there, believe it or not. But even and I say that, Mary Kay, even in a meeting or in a walkthrough, just our guys are getting exposed to a lot.
I know a day on the golf course is probably fun and obviously for a good cause, but how much do you look forward to this, having so much of the team getting together outside of the building?
Yeah, it's a big part of it, Cam. Just as you come together as a team, you want to spend time with each other, whether you're going out to get dinner or lunch or spending time over the weekend with each other. So this will be fun. I'll make sure that whoever captures some of these swings, I'll include them in the team meeting tomorrow. But the guys, they enjoy being out together, and we do have a few guys that enjoy the game of golf. So you'll see a few of them. They've been around town playing, and this is just another way for them to be around their teammates.
Kevin, you talked so much about the division. I was wondering what you thought about that proposal. I know it didn't pass, but to not, to reseed when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of takes away from the emphasis you like to put on the division?
I do. I understand both sides of that argument, but I think winning your division really should be the primary goal of every team, and it should mean something where you get to host a playoff game. I understand some of the things that were brought up at the league meetings. We'll see if that gets revisited next year, which I would assume it does. But we know our division. We know how tough it is. We beat up on each other, and we feel like there should be some type of reward for that.
Seems like the compromise would be reseed after the first round, so you would still get your first
right.
Game, but if you're like a 9 and 18,
right.
you go down.
Right.
Are you opposed to that?
Yeah, I would love to see a little bit more of the information on that, Tony. I think that's something that will come up next season and in the owners' meetings and the league meetings as they talk about those things. Those are the type of discussions we have not had yet. I've seen that proposal, but we have not discussed that one at length.
Because we're on a golf course, at practice the other day, I saw a TrackMan.
Yeah.
You guys had set up. What do you guys track with that?
The kickers use that. Just see that. What's really important about that one, Scott, is the height of the ball when it crosses the line of scrimmage. So you can kind of tell, make sure that the ball, you can get lulled to sleep as a kicker if you're just driving the ball and realizing that there's going to be guys like Myles Garrett putting their hands up at some point.
Kevin, it seems like a lot of conclusions were drawn or have been drawn about where things sort of already stand in the quarterback competition, based in part on one OTA that was open to the media. So my question is are those accurate possible evaluations at this point?
Yeah, it's so. I know in our day and age, one clip or one day or one practice can be all that gets out there to the public. I would tell you the guys are working extremely hard. They're doing everything that we're asked of them, and we're very excited about all of our guys. I know a lot of attention goes to that quarterback room. I get it. That's the most important position in football, but I'm really proud of all the guys for how hard they're working really throughout this offseason.
Kevin, along those lines, you've told us not to read too much in anything. Fans hopefully trying to get that message too, but we know naturally that'll happen. And along those lines, you talk about how this time of year is maybe better suited for like the quarterbacks, the DBs, and the receivers. So as a whole, though, like, what is the main thing, the main goal that you're hoping to get out of like the OTA setting versus something like mandatory minicamp or even training camp?
Sure, I think that off-season program, you're really building a foundation, and that's for the players. You're building a foundational understanding of scheme. You're building a foundation of the culture, like Cam was talking about earlier, just being around your teammates. So that's really what we're doing right now. When we get to training camp, we'll build on that foundation, but so much of what we're doing right now is just making sure that the guys understand who we are, what it means when we Cleveland Browns, what it means when we say offense, defense, special teams, how we play, because we're different than the other teams in our division, just like they're different than us. We want to make sure that we have an identity that's unique to us. So a lot of that is building that foundation now, so that when you get to training camp, you can build upon that.
It seems like those guys do a very
Deontay Johnson return to the program.
You guys are out there tomorrow, right? Oh, see you Wednesday.
It seems like those guys do a fairly good job of shutting out that external noise. I guess, why do you think that is? The quarterback room specifically, with the competition?
Yeah, I think external noise is nothing new in pro sports, and whatever the noise may be, and that's kind of our job. That's the fun part for me, is I get to go into work and pull in and close the door and get to work and not focus very much on that. We understand that exists. We understand that there's a great interest in our sport. That's what keeps us going, is our fans' level of interest in our sport. So I completely get that part, but it doesn't factor into our day-to-day. We have a lot of work to do, and don't really pay much attention to what's going on outside.
All right, there you go. Coach from the golf outing yesterday. Second hour of the program coming up next. We will kick it off with Deion Sanders and what he thought went wrong with Shedeur in the pre-draft process and how we will handle it from here. That's coming up next. Second hour of the program, Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. In this way for a while in football, but it's definitely crescendoing or reaching an apex, and I suppose there's still a little bit higher it could go, but it feels like we're there now. And we've been in this spot where college football has been the second most popular sport in this country for about a decade is kind of what it's been. It's kind of been that thing. It's one of these things that it's one of those sports that truly is ascending and continues to year in and year out, despite all of the backward stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But one of the byproducts of that is that when the draft comes around, you get known commodities.
Yep.
Now, the known commodities part really goes back to like the late 90s and Peyton Manning, but I think Johnny was a massive part of it. I think he was one of those things
He was
where
a brand.
he was known. He was a brand. Bake was a brand for sure by the time we drafted Baker. I mean, there's other guys that were too. Shedeur Sanders, without question, is a brand. He's been a brand since he went with his dad and Travis Hunter to Jackson State, and then they went to Colorado and did what they did there. We have known who Shedeur Sanders is for a very long time.
Yes.
And so when he comes into a Browns quarterback room and he's a fifth-round pick and he's there with Flacco and Pickett and Dylan Gabriel, all incredibly accomplished, Super Bowl champion in the terms of Flacco, he's the most famous probably to the masses, him and Flacco, but he might even supersede Flacco in terms of around the country, just because of the cross section of humanity.
Yes.
Like if you're not a
full-time
like a young kid, I don't know if you would know.
No, because Flacco hasn't been a full-time starter, I don't think, since 2017 maybe.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So certainly for a wide swath of the demographic. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, for all the young folks, I mean, he's been a known guy for a while. And then you factor in all the social media following and all that.
I don't think Joe Flacco's sending out TikToks.
No.
Yeah, last time that Joe Flacco quarterbacked for 16 games in a season, or was a starter for 16 games, was in 2017. Since then, the most he started in a season was 9 in 2018 with Baltimore, 8 in 2019 with Denver.
Yeah. To that end, his draft process was front and center throughout the entire process, and him dropping to where he dropped was surprising. We benefited very greatly for that. Deion Sanders has been quiet on all of this. He was quiet throughout much of the process, other than when there was a pro day at Colorado. Kind of stayed out of it, but he went on Asante Samuel's podcast, Say What Needs to Be Said, and did give his view of everything that happened in the pre-draft meetings and some of the conversations around Shedeur. Here is Coach Prime.
You got to understand, my kids are built for everything.
Down to us.
Then we had 2 TV shows. Then we had shows in high school with playing football junior and senior year. So we've always been in front of the camera, so they know how to navigate. They know how to handle themselves. Yeah. And you're not going to catch them in no foolery and no mess. You're not going to do that whatsoever. So when you sit up there and say something like he went in a meeting unprepared, like, dude, Shedeur Sanders, who's had 6 different coordinators, who has still functioned and leveled up every time we brought somebody new in, and you're going to tell me situation. You're going to tell me he had on headphones, Shedeur. Anybody know my son, understand he's a professional. Like, he's going to go into a meeting with headphones on. Like, y'all, come on, man.
You know what that tells me, Coach? That tells me somebody was looking for something before they even came there. I was already looking for something.
Yeah,
looking for an issue, pre-planned. You know what I mean? But hey, bygones are bygones. Hey, man, we know you a dog. Your kid's a dog, and dogs gonna always rise to the top. You know what I mean? That's what I believe. You know what I mean?
There you go.
For real. But
then
we're talking about
it did hurt.
Coach, when you talking about it hurt us, it hurt me. It hurt, Coach.
But you know, the Bible says God uses the foolish things to confound the wise. So it was some foolish stuff that went on, but you know what? That gave them something that they needed. Like that gave them something that they said, all right, you know, that edge that Tom had, that edge, it gave them that edge that you had, it gave them the edge that I have. You know, when folks say we're gonna be nothing. We weren't going to beat them. We had to prove that. They gave them the edge that they needed, both of them.
Mm-hmm. He already used to adversity, like I say, come from Jackson State and Colorado, so he built for that stuff. Like you said,
we built for that.
This from Florio, and we're going to have some thoughts on that in a second. This from Florio on the process and all of that, and we've talked about a lot of this stuff before. Although Sanders didn't make a power play to avoid a bad team, he treated the process as if he was being recruited, not interviewed, and he had no time. He had no one to tell him that what he was doing was far more harm than good at that point. I do think that he's a little bit of he's a byproduct of his own fame. And that I do think it's one of those rare instances where the pre-draft process obviously did not go. And this was the whole league. It's a 5th-round pick. Like, this is what it is. But I also think that it's one of those instances where if you just watched him play and he wasn't who he is, there's no way he lasts to the 5th round.
No.
And that's what we've seen when he's been out here. He does not look like a 5th-round pick in any way.
No. He is an incredibly accurate thrower of the ball. He's just naturally accurate. It's one of those skills that he possesses. He can throw the football where he wants to throw the football, and he's great at layering in throws. His arm is plenty strong. He had a throw last Friday to Keyshawn Johnson that was 55 yards in the air. That was a drop in the bucket. I mean, he's shown that. He has an NFL arm. Those questions should be gone. What I think everybody needs to understand with Shedeur Sanders is that he did go in the 5th round for a reason, and it is a reason that is not found on tape.
Yeah.
Because anybody, and we talked to all of them, who just watches the tape, first you had people who thought he was the best quarterback in this class, who are very well respected. You had people who thought he was and everybody else pretty much he's the second best quarterback in this class. And those who even were his quote-unquote detractors, and I don't say detractors, but those who are more critical of him on film, take Greg Cosell, for example, or Dane. They still had him in early 2nd round.
Oh, he had 35 overall, I think, on Dane's.
Right. So
35 overall player.
So then it was more of, well, you wouldn't take him, in Dane's mind. Like, I'm not taking him 2nd overall, but where we took Carson Schlesinger, absolutely.
Yeah.
He goes in the 5th round. And I know a lot of people around the league who thought for sure he was going to go in the 2nd round. Even as it was unfolding, thought he was going to go in the 2nd round. So I think there's a couple things. Number one, I think they're fair or not, and I would say in some ways I think it's probably unfair, but this interview, for example, is something that you're not getting with any other quarterback in this draft.
No.
Probably any other quarterback in many drafts.
No.
I don't know the last quarterback who either was a head coach of a college program and also their son's coach and who was an NFL Hall of Famer and who has access to the media and speaks in front of the media all the time.
It's Manning's. And Arch wasn't coaching Tennessee.
Right. So that part of it that played some role. And then I think there's another part of it that you wonder, and the quote went on, so there's time and place to be nonchalant. The pre-draft process isn't it. Teams want players who approach things with a business-like demeanor. When it comes to quarterback, they want to be showing up early, staying late, and doing whatever it takes to be successful. He's done that since he's been here. I can tell you that 100%. He has done that. He talked yesterday at the golf outing, did like a rookie panel with Andrew Hawkins and was talking about, how he loves that he gets to be around Joe Flacco and learn from Joe. Like he was... Like, what's the craziest thing? So he's like, dude, I'm in a room with Joe Flacco. Like, so that means something to Shedeur. I think that he has played a lot of football. He did have, somebody who was an NFL offensive coordinator, an NFL head coach as his offensive coordinator, and the final offensive coordinator, Pat Shurmur. But I think that his step up in terms of, let's call it calling plays in the huddle, being under center, some of the things that maybe he's going to be asked to do at this level with all the checks that happen at the line of scrimmage, with all of the pre-snap recognition that's got to happen, and then post-snap, especially if you're turning your back to defense. I think that there are things to learning the position that maybe he is certainly behind Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco, and Flacco's a veteran. Pickett's, started 25 games in the National Football League. And then Dylan Gabriel, who played a lot more at all major college programs. I think people sometimes forget that, yes, he turned it around at Jackson State, and he turned it around here. And I do think that he has probably the highest ceiling. I think, though, that his on-ramp is a little longer than that of Dylan Gabriel's. to get ready for all the things that it takes to be an NFL quarterback. Not talking about talent. Take talent out of it. He is supremely talented.
Yep.
So I think that people need to have, and there's a lot of people kind of, I think, in the national media who are really like rushing Shedeur. And I can see it sells. Like I've done a couple of national interviews where they ask me about Shedeur as though he's the only quarterback here. And I talk about his ball placement and that it is elite, but that, he's still very much a work in progress as an NFL quarterback. So I think that that's something people need to have some patience with that. And you look at the schedule. I also think that you never know who could win the job. And if somebody is just the best, then they will start week one, despite how difficult that opening would be for their career. But, you look at Kenny Pickett, you look at Joe Flacco. I still think, Pickett's going to get every opportunity. Flacco's kind of the break glass, but still could be that much better. And then you've got Gabriel and you have got, Shedeur Sanders. Excuse me. I believe as we progress through this offseason, what's going to be interesting to watch is how the reps change and what opportunities Shedeur can earn for himself. Because that'll tell you about things that you can't see. When you come here and you see him, he is going to be very impressive throwing the football. So it's going to be much more to me about whiteboard, understanding offensive concepts, understanding defensive concepts, being able to be in the huddle, be confident, get the plays out, doing things that he wasn't right or wrong. It's just the way the college football is done now. He wasn't asked. He was not asked to do those things. He was asked to do a certain set of things there, and guess what? He did them incredibly well.
Yeah,
incredibly well. So I think that his ceiling might be the highest, but it might take longer for him to reach his ceiling than it would for somebody who I would call is more of like a floor riser, which is like Kenny Pickett's going to raise the floor of what your quarterback position is going to give you. Dylan Gabriel's that way and they both have upside on top of that. But I think right now you're looking at a guy in Shedeur that has everything you want, but needs to understand the nuances of the position at this level more so than Gabriel, who started more games in college and was at major programs. Like when Deion went to Colorado, yes, it's Colorado. Yes, the history of it. That was not a major program at that moment.
It was the worst Power 5 job in America when he took it. It was the roster was in the worst spot of any Power 5 job in America. There are issues at Colorado in terms of recruiting, in terms of its location. It's beautiful, stunning, but the proximity to talent isn't there.
Yep.
And it was at the time when he took the job, the worst Power 5 job and the worst spot, and they made it
more than respectable.
They were the most watched team year one
Yep.
in the first month of the season, and in year two they were on the precipice of the playoff, and they had a late loss, I want to say at Kansas, that kept them out. Otherwise, they would have been playing for a chance to play in the college football playoff in year two,
and would have been the most talent efficient team in that college football playoff
by far.
By a huge margin.
Far. Their lines of scrimmage, as we said, they were indifferent to the run game. Like, I mean, just couldn't. It was Shedeur and it was Trav.
Yeah.
I mean, they had other guys
some other
too.
good
They got
receivers.
Good
receivers.
Horn's a really good player, but they just didn't. No, I mean, it's even when you bring in 50 guys as they did in year one, like, to get it to all work and to go, it's really tough. It's an incredible turnaround that they've done.
And I think
he was at the middle of it.
The thing, as I said, to watch with Shedeur to know how he's progressing is going to be about how reps change and then what opportunities he gets and how he performs when he's now playing against better competition on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
There's no doubt he can throw the ball. None.
No.
That will be as apparent as anything. So it's going to be the other stuff that he's got to get. He's got to play. He's playing a little bit of catch up, I think, in some of those departments, so that it's not just what you see in 7-on-7. Now, that's part of it, being able to understand what the defense is doing, understand what concept's going to beat the defense and where, and then delivering that football. And he's going to be very, very good at that. It's going to be all of the other things that go into playing the position. And when he masters those, I think the Browns are going to have an absolute steal on their hands.
So I thought it was interesting. We had Dylan on yesterday, and he spoke. He said something. He kind of said it in passing, but it resonated with me. But we had so much going on that I didn't press him on it. But he said something that hit home, which was talking about headset communication in their helmets. Last year was the first year for that. It was the first year that you weren't looking over at the sideline and deciphering whiteboard signs for the play.
Which is outrageous.
Which is absurd. But they didn't approve it until April of 2024.
Yep.
And last year was the first year where there was headset communication in the helmet. So at the very least, Shedeur and Dylan got 1 year of that. And that's a start. That's a start. Think about and this all kind of came, and Shedeur was part of this. Quinn Ewers was a part of this. And then Jackson Dart at Ole Miss was kind of at the center of this when he did the thing with Gruden. We just did like the clap. And he's been clapping for 4 years. And he's like, yeah, that's every snap was either a clap or it's two clap. There is no cadence. There's none of that. And most teams do it. Ohio State under Urban did it all the time. There we go.
Braxton Miller. Yeah.
Braxton did it all the time. But you're starting to see programs go away from that. And I do think it will make that transition even smoother. And it can be really smooth now already. I mean, if you are elite like Jaden Daniels was, and you can pop in. But the other thing that Daniels has in common, and honestly has in common with Gabriel, is different systems, different coaches. Right? Me started off at Arizona State.
Yep.
And ends up at LSU with Brian Kelly. And you think of Gabriel and the places he is. I thought that was interesting. He talked about really flushing it every year and starting over. Shedeur's had a bunch of coordinators. They made a live coordinator change in year one. Sean Lewis to Pat Shurmur. Then he had Shurmur last year. But it's different verbiage. It's different everything. So you have to learn that stuff pretty quickly. So I think all of those things will help him tremendously.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It is going to be very, very fun to watch. I know, again, this team, they love Joe Flacco. They are very high on Kenny Pickett and think that this is the right offense for him to be operating in at the highest level that he can in the National Football League. They love Dylan Gabriel, and then Shedeur is so talented as a thrower of the football that they are excited to see, when he can get his full quarterback base on par with everybody else, what does that look like? And I think that's the story of the 2025 Cleveland Browns, honest to God.
Kevin has that cut, if you want, from Dylan Gabriel yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Kev.
Initially, you're piecing it together, and words don't really mean much. But now, as we kind of dive into it, now it's a lot easier, just knowing what these words mean. And
have you done much in the huddle before?
I have.
Okay.
And, in college, it honestly helped getting kind of the audio in that sense because, a lot of it was visual. It's signals and
yeah.
That painting a picture. But now, a voice in your head that's got to paint a picture for you. So it's just a different way of getting the information and painting your own picture to go do what you do. But it's been an easier transition now because you're just living by it.
Yeah, that's new. That's new stuff for college football to have that dialogue. So that was noteworthy to say the least. All right, we'll go around the league. Coming up next, you'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Bally Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Single game tickets are on sale now. Secure your seats today for the top matchups at Huntington Bank Field during the 2025 season. Don't wait. Head to Browns.com/tickets now for more. As we head around the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers are expected to come to a contract agreement with linebacker T.J. Watt before the start of the season, per Gary Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. The new deal is expected to top Myles Garrett's 4-year, $160 million extension with the Browns. There were some folks that thought that maybe he would be traded.
Yeah, there were people very close to him that thought he was going to be traded. So I don't know if that was posturing. That was, about a month ago?
Yeah.
Like, very close to him. So maybe they've decided that they would rather pay him money. They seem to be active. They're a team that's been talked about with Jonnu Smith.
Do the next one. The next one on the list. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're a team that's been talked about for trading for Jonnu Smith. I've heard them be a team that's talked about in terms of trading for Kyle Pitts as well. As maybe they're going to go with an Arthur Smith. They're going to go 12 personnel, go 2 receivers. They got rid of Pickens, obviously.
Gabe Davis going to visit there.
Who's a field stretcher. Yep. Was very productive, obviously, in his time there in Buffalo. Not so good down in Jacksonville.
Let me just ask you this.
Yeah.
Is this the behavior of a team that thinks they are not getting Aaron Rodgers?
I mean, you've got people right now around that organization, including players on the field, who are talking like Mason Rudolph is Aaron Rodgers.
That's delusional.
Fair.
I mean, there were people giving me I was getting Will Howard stat lines.
From OTAs?
From OTAs.
Oh, man.
Yes.
You can't. I mean, listen, people are doing that in our OTAs.
I know it.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's happened. But but it just, everything they're doing.
He's just not acting like somebody that is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler.
In that he's not there. But he could be doing that behind the scenes. He could be. I don't know. At what point, could he even show up for minicamp? What would he even be able to do?
I don't know. So, is he just going to show up for training camp?
I don't know.
A quarterback?
I don't know. But
learning a completely new system.
Everything they do and have done strikes me as an operation. This isn't an organization that feels like, hey, let's get our money right. Let's get locked in. We're going to have a great pick next year. We'll reset this thing. They don't do that. And it does, to me, they're behaving in a way like they think they got the answers to the test and they're going to have him or someone of that ilk. And there is nobody else of that ilk.
Cousins.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a short list.
He'd run that offense well.
But he would be learning it too.
It's very similar. Arthur Smith.
Be similar to this. Yeah, all that stuff. Yes. Yeah. I do think Howard fits very well with what Arthur Smith would want to do. I mean, he and Tannehill aren't that far apart in terms of their stylistic approach. It's similar. So, but I don't think he would do that.
I am surprised that what are you going, 6th round?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's pretty accurate.
I mean, and
he was the best quarterback on the field in the playoff.
Week game, that run he was on was a very good run.
It was a very good run. Yeah, he had a very bad combine throwing session.
He did. On air.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
He did. But yeah, I don't know. It's it's interesting over there. Our old buddy Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has agreed to a multi-year contract extension to be the vice president of the Minnesota Vikings. That will continue. They have crushed it. He's nailed about everything. They really need to nail J.J. McCarthy. They need J.J. to be a dude. And obviously they believe he is because they brought no one in there to contend with him at all.
No, and that's where Rodgers wanted to go, and they were like, yeah, no.
Yeah, not having it.
That's the thing, is that there was voiced interest that Rodgers wanted to go and be on the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
There was none of that about him and the Steelers.
No, there wasn't. No.
And I don't see how trading
away.
But
he has said that he's in touch with them, and he talks to them.
Yeah, and then he was maybe I'll see you in Chicago, right? Because they play in Chicago this year. I don't know. To me, it's very strange. If you're asking a team to pay you and to play the most important position in sports, you've got to be there.
You have to be there. Because I don't think there's any scenario where this would be a top. If he had his choosing, I don't think this would be in the top 10 of the places that he would want to go.
No.
But it's just the only place that he can go to, and you could talk yourself into winning.
There's a part of me
nowhere else.
There's a part of me that thinks he is saying, at some point this year,
roll the dice.
One of Lamar, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes. Oh, there he is.
He's in the mix.
The great Hawk. Jared Goff. I don't think he'd say Jordan Love. McCarthy. Stafford.
Why would you say no to Jordan Love?
I don't think there's any way he would go back to Green Bay.
I don't know.
With Peter LaFleur? Doesn't that feel like that was...
Yeah, but I don't know.
Okay, fine. So I'll add him on.
They did win a lot.
Okay.
Like
so
he knows
Love.
it. Yeah.
I mean, it would be an ultimate heel move if he was like, I'm going to go to the Bears if Caleb Williams went down with all those dudes.
Oh, there's weaponry there in a very, very big way. The only reason I said
Denver.
Green Bay is like he was quite literally there when they mended fences with Favre.
Tampa.
Like, you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tampa for sure.
Niners. So
Niners
now you're
for
talking
sure.
Purdy. So like, that's just 12 off the top of our head. There's a good chance somebody there's going to get hurt. Dak.
Broncos. Did you do Denver?
Yeah, I did. I wrote down Denver, yeah. For Bo Nix. Chargers, maybe.
Maybe.
Texans.
Yeah.
All right, so that's like half the league.
Somebody will get hurt.
Going to get hurt.
Yeah. And I think probably lie detector, he'd rather, if any of those had opportunities, he'd rather go there than Pittsburgh.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be, it's June 3rd. Like,
I even think Arizona. Let's say Kyler goes down. Arizona's off to a decent start.
Yeah, they got weapons. Nice weapons. Yeah.
Nice weather. Dome.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Couple of retirements. Lions four-time Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow announced his retirement for the NFL at the age of just 29. And also David Andrews announced his retirement after 10 seasons with the Patriots. Said he didn't want to play for another team. The cover of Madden 26 is Saquon Barkley hurtling over a defender. We get it every year, and now we bundled it with the NCAA last year. This is the first time that there isn't, and it's been waning. Like the FIFA game's better, and they're into the other stuff now too a little bit. Last year was the first time that not a single season franchise my player was not started. The kids didn't crack it open once. I had a little itch in the middle of the football season last year where I had a little bit of downtime, and I had the itch to play. I played with us. I threw interceptions on my first two possessions. I shut it down and never played again, and that's it.
Well, it's a reasonable crash.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll just play college football. Like every pass isn't either caught or intercepted in this game. I don't know why they can't get the gameplay right, but I think it's really slipped. And I know that they'll say, like, Shook's an aficionado, and he's like, they've made these changes, they've made these, and I can't tell. It feels the same to me. It feels no different than what that game has been for a decade.
So
There's no
they're
changes
saying
to
they're
it.
going to make it much better, but we'll see.
You played the college game.
The college was fun.
It was much better.
Best. Yes.
It was way better.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Hands down. Back when I had my PS2 to today.
I don't know why
college football was better than Madden.
I don't know how they got it better. You had a theory. I think you gave me a theory on it once, and you might have been right, that the college football game, because if you play, like, so let's say you played with Ohio State, there's probably only 2 or 3 games on the schedule where the talent is like.
Yeah.
So you get to annihilate people 56-0, where in the
Yeah.
NFL they're all tight. But it's the turnover thing that drives me nuts about Madden. It's everything's a touchdown, a completion, or an interception. That drives me nuts.
They have some throws that are off because they're college kids, but they're just off and they're incomplete.
Right.
Like, it's fine.
Yeah, you overthrow somebody, you throw it out of bounds, you do.
Perfect or it's picked.
It's picked. And it's just, I don't understand why they can't get that part right. The AI of that, they just have never been able to get it right.
One other story that came out yesterday, and I wanted to run it up the flagpole with you guys.
Yeah.
From the Schultz report, our former offensive tackle, Jed Wills, who dealt with a lingering knee injury last season, is planning to sit out most or possibly all of the upcoming season to fully recover and get back to 100%. Wills, the former Browns top 10 pick, has drawn interest from multiple teams, still just 26 years old, but believes taking the time off is the best move for the long-term future of his career.
I don't know.
I know, Nathan, you had floated it out there. Like, why not take a flyer and
Oh, yeah, we talked about it a lot. We
bring
knew
him
him,
back.
but I don't think he clearly has very little interest in playing football.
I
That's
would
what it
agree
seems
with
like
that.
to me. Yep.
You know. That's one of the things there's no way of knowing when you draft somebody is what this will do for them or to them, or maybe it won't do anything, or maybe it's just something you met. Who knows? But it was never physical with Jed. He was great as a rookie. And there's a reason Hoff went nuts when we drafted him. Like, all of the tools, but just didn't feel like football was the number one priority, is what it seemed like when he was here. You want to do a little higher, lower, Lex, or you want to go around the?
We'll go around the sports world because we're going to shorten things up. We've got
there you
bills
go.
to pay.
All right, there you go. We'll go around the sports world coming up next. Just to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Serious lawyers, serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO for a free case review. Elk & Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. As we go around the sports world, this from the most recent episode of the New Heights podcast. Jason Kelsey offered his thoughts on selecting a team to play flag football in 2028, suggested a coach familiar with flag football select NFL players to make an NFL-represented team. They would compete against the professional U.S. flag football team, and the winner would represent the U.S. in the Olympics. Believe you had this.
Let's go. Let's go. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. By the way, like, I've read now a lot of discourse on this, and they think that the NFL team will get smoked.
Who thinks that?
I've read a lot of people have said that.
Flag Football Jones thinks that?
Every play that these guys run, this like Flag Football Jones team run, like 3 people touch the ball. All of them can throw it. They're mixed direction. You never know what's like. This isn't just line up and we're going to drop back and run our routes and you're going to cover us.
Yeah.
It's a whole lot of yeah.
It's funny. Like when we played, there was never any gimmicky. Like we played
we
tempo and you went so I never knew that they would do that. So everything's like a double pass, reverse pass.
Totally. There's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I want to see it. There is, by the way.
This might be much ado about nothing. There might not be a single NFL player who does this.
Also true.
Like, are there owners that are going to step up and say, no one on my team is allowed to go do it?
Lamar Jackson's not playing. If I'm Steve Bisciotti, there's no way.
There's no chance. And I think, we hit on Kyler last week, and it's like, well, yeah, Kyler he feels like he'd be everything you'd want a flag football quarterback to be. He's really shifty, great arm, can throw from every angle, all of those things. But, what's his upside for doing it?
None.
The only thing he can do is what is expected, which is never lose, blow everybody out, and win the gold medal. If they don't do that, it's a wild disappointment. What's the upside for him?
None.
How much more? What exposure do you need?
None. No upside. And quite frankly, lots of downside.
I do think if you took what Kelsey's saying here of a veteran flag football coach, that makes a lot of sense, obviously, because you'd want to have people who knew the game. But I do think if you did that and you played – you gave a month to put in a playbook that had all this stuff, I think you'd be more than fine. I think you'd pick it up pretty quick. Yeah. You'd pick up the trick plays and all that stuff pretty quick. And most of these guys in the league could do all of the things better than any of those guys could.
For sure. It's just the second nature aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, I think the notion that you just line up and go drill them, no. I mean, you'd have to have – it's a different game, to your point. I was unaware of it. I didn't realize it was all – that's.
I want to see it. I want to see Jason Kelsey. He gets. Let's see Flag Football Jones out there in the mix.
The CW will not renew inside the NFL after 2 seasons. The show currently doesn't have a home for 2025. Last season's cast included Ryan Clark, Chad Johnson, Chris Long, and Bill Belichick.
Did you watch a second of it?
Not a second.
I mean,
this was when I first got HBO.
Oh, it was
the Len Dawson, Nick Bonacotti, Chris Collinsworth. Who was the fourth on that? Dawson, Bonacotti, Collinsworth.
That's the 3 I remember.
Can't remember who the fourth was. And then JB came on later.
Was Boomer a part of that?
JB was on it for a long time. I can't remember the original group. But that was what was so cool is you got the NFL Films highlight reels on every game.
Yeah, now you get that.
And now you don't need that to do it. The other thing, and this is a real thing with a younger generation, I'm sure your kids are the same way. For my kids, a YouTuber breaking down the NFL is no different than Len Dawson breaking down the NFL. Doesn't make a dang bit of difference to them.
Yeah, it was Collinsworth, Dawson, and Bonacotti.
Just the
was
three
Marino
of them.
part of that?
Several former players and coaches served as co-hosts throughout this period from 78 to 2001, but it was basically the 3 of them, Dawson, Collinsworth, and Bonacotti. Jimmy Johnson was on for a little while. Jerry Glanville was on for a little while. In 2001, 2006, they retire, and it was hosted by Costas with Marino, Collinsworth, and Chris Carter. So, yeah, I mean, the big run was just the 3 of them.
Yeah. This is great.
Dude, 78 to 2001? That's a run.
That's a run, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
It originally started with Al Meltzer and Chuck Bednarik and Merle Harmon. That was the beginning of it. Then they left, and it became Dawson, Bonacotti, and Collinsworth.
Chuck Bednarik was unbelievable in those Nike ads that he used to do, and then he did This Is Sports Center, I think he did too. Did he do those? I remember he did a bunch, and then he'd be on Letterman sometimes.
Yeah, I know the Letterman.
He was very good on Letterman. Yeah, him and Art Donovan, the great Art Donovan. Those are the 2 guys from those eras.
Art Donovan was great.
Art Donovan was straight comedy.
Yep.
Everything he did. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I just don't know that. I think the landscape has changed so much at this point that what is the way we consume things is just so different. You never just sit there and listen to an hour straight of NFL stuff on TV. You're just not. A couple other things here of note. The Orlando Magic have unveiled a new logo, uniforms, and a court design for next season. The new design mixes in some nostalgia from past. Yeah, sure does. I mean, it's the white and the blue are basically their old 90s uniforms. There's almost nothing different. And then the black one is just a variation of it with just kind of in a diagonal. It's a great color scheme. Them and Charlotte, when they came onto the scene, I mean, they just crushed it.
Yeah,
those
why
two
they ever
operations.
change any of them? They're perfect.
I don't know.
These Magic ones
Change
are
to
great.
change. I don't know why.
Paulo looking great
Your
in
boy,
the new
your
threads.
boy, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah,
it.
that was a clean.
Let's get him a shooter.
It's a clean operation.
Or I'll focus on trading for Giannis. That's tired. Wired, trading for Paulo.
There you go. Yeah. I saw ESPN today was having a little fun with a Donovan Mitchell to the Mavericks, Cooper Flagg here, Jared Allen to the Lakers, a couple of Lakers pieces to Chicago, and then a couple of pieces from Dallas here on that.
They're not trading Cooper Flagg out of Dallas.
No, I don't think they would either.
They're not.
No,
Did you see?
So
I saw this.
I'd be giddy.
He
but they're not.
made $28 million in NIL last year.
I don't even think that's the full picture. That's basically 2 endorsements. He got 13 and a half, I want to say, from New Balance, which is recurring.
Every year.
And then he's got 15 from Panini. At Fanatics and Panini. Was it Fanatics or Panini? You guys remember. Brock, do you remember which one it was? Fanatics or Panini gave him 15.
Wow.
So that isn't even like the NIL he made at Duke.
Yeah. So
that's just the national NIL. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Dude, Ohio State today, I see they say Tyler Hero's kid, but the other thing, real quickly, I know I'm up against it. Ohio State signed a guard today, a German guard, to play basketball for them next year, who played 2 years for Barcelona in the EuroLeague. Professional basketball player. And now he's going to come play in college.
That doesn't feel right.
That's where we're at.
By the way, if I'm Cooper Flagg and I can make $40 million a year, he was 1 year at Duke?
Yep.
1 year.
Dude, I would stay for 4.
That's what Arch is going to do. That's why he's going to stay.
I would stay for 4 and be the
Live
absolute
time of my life.
King of the
Every
world. Why would I go
NFL draft
travel and stay in-
prognosticator can say it, but
Why would you
No,
do
I
it?
would too. I'm with you.
Oh, my goodness gracious me.
Yeah. So much more to come. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, you got a nice little day for you tomorrow. We're back on the fields.
Yeah, baby.
You're gonna have some pressers. We got Schwartz tomorrow. We got Bubba tomorrow. Some established players. You'll have some players tomorrow.
Yep.
Tommy Reese, fan of a proper bar. Tommy Reese will be in the mix.
We got groundbreaking. We got groundbreaking ceremonies tomorrow for District 46. Let's go.
I like it.
Doing very exciting.
You have that to look forward to, which is nice. The next level is coming up next.
30.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.